Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lane. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, on Instagram at Trevor Lane NBA. Today, we're going to focus on Ben Simmons and the latest rumor that has him heading out of Philadelphia, potentially in a 2 or 3 team deal. Things are heating up. Didn't want to wait till Monday to talk about this because it is so fresh. So we're going to focus on this topic today in a little bit of a quick hitter episode. You're also probably noticing that it is just me, no Keith. If you've been following him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA, you saw that Keith and his family have been dealing with a pretty difficult time involving his dog and everything that's going on with that. Look, I know firsthand how absolutely devastating that situation can be. So we're going to give Keith some time, some space so that he can be with his family in this difficult moment. So just me for today, but let's talk about what has come out about the 76ers and a potential trade with Ben Simmons. So according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, the 76ers are now becoming more aggressive in trade talks. Remember, so far the 76ers have been setting the bar super high in all of their trade discussions for Ben Simmons, to the point where some teams have been walking away from these conversations, assuming that the 76ers just don't want to trade him because they've been setting the bar so high. They've been asking for so much, tons of picks and pick swaps and all kinds of craziness. Well, now the 76ers are starting to get more aggressive. Why? What has changed? Well, December 15th is coming up, and December 15th is the date when most of the players who signed new contracts this past offseason become eligible to be traded. The NBA has it set up so you can't sign a guy and then just immediately trade him away a week later. You can execute a sign and trade, which is a simultaneous transaction, but you can't just sign a player and then 2 weeks down the road or something decide, oh, no, never mind, I'm just kidding, and trade that player away. You have this period where you cannot trade that player. Well, that window expires as of December 15th for most players. There are some who sign later on, and they don't have their trade designation expire until January. But for most players who signed this last offseason, they become trade eligible as of December 15th. So that was kind of our thought coming into this whole process, was that perhaps December 15th would be the date where the dam finally bursts, because there suddenly would be new opportunities for trades. For much of this time so far, the 76ers have been pretty limited in terms of who they could trade for, because you have all of these players who are effectively off the market. Now they're suddenly on the market, and the 76ers are trying to get a little bit more aggressive with getting a trade done. And again, according to Woj, they're looking at 2 or 3 team deals, and the goal is to land a top 25 player. Now, I know when you just say top 25 player, that sounds like there's a lot of players on the list. We've heard a 30-player list, now a top 25 list. That sounds like there's a lot of players, but when you actually sit down and you make up a top 25 list, you don't see a lot of names that a team would be willing to part with in order to get Ben Simmons. So that's where you have to get to, say, a 3-team trade, where you're starting to add in some other assets and things like that in order to get something that a team with one of those players actually wants. And again, not many teams that have top 25 players are looking to move them right now. In particular, one team that is not looking to move their top 25 player is the Portland Trail Blazers with Damian Lillard. Again, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, they have reiterated, despite Joe Cronin taking over in their front office, that they will not be trading Lillard, that he is completely off limits in Ben Simmons trade talks. They are willing to talk CJ McCollum trade talks, deals centered around him. However, the 76ers are not interested in that. They want Lillard. The Blazers are saying, nope, any deal that starts with him is a non-starter. We are not going to discuss trading Damian Lillard. And so you are at an impasse there between those two sides. Now, if something changes, if the Blazers suddenly decide, well, okay, maybe we are willing to trade Lillard, then you can bet the 76ers will be interested. Or flip that and say the 76ers are suddenly willing to take a package centered around CJ McCollum. The Blazers would be interested, assuming the deal is within reason. The deal that Keith and I have been talking about for a while now has been CJ McCollum, one of the young players, maybe it's Anthony Simons, and a future pick for Ben Simmons. Feel like that's pretty fair value for both sides. But the rumor has been that the 76ers wanted CJ McCollum and a ton of future picks and pick swaps and all these things. And keep in mind, CJ McCollum, Ben Simmons, contractually, in terms of how much they're actually making, it's almost an even for even swap. One one's making $30 million, the other one's making $31 million. Very easy to make the math work on getting a deal done between those two players. But unless the 76ers decide we're interested in McCollum, or the Blazers decide, well, we're going to come off of this we weren't trading Lillard thing, then it doesn't look like a deal between those two teams is very likely, which is perhaps why we're hearing these 3-team deal rumors, because in order to get what they want, it's becoming increasingly likely that the 76ers are going to have to rope in multiple teams and figure out a way to get things done. For example, let's say that there's a team that really has a piece that they're offering in order to get Ben Simmons, but that piece doesn't fit what the 76ers need. Just for example, let's say the Mavs decide that they want Ben Simmons and they're offering Kristaps Porzingis. Well, is he really a fit with a team that already has Tobias Harris, already has Joel Embiid? No, but maybe he's a valuable piece you can put somewhere else, you can send to another team, and then you can get the assets that you do want if you're the 76ers. Now, that's just something I made up off the top of my head, so don't take that as any kind of a real rumor or anything. That's just an example of why you might need to loop in a third team. And the last thing I'll say, and this is something Keith and I have been talking about quite a bit here, is Tyrese Maxey has been very good for the 76ers throughout this season, to the point where I don't think the 76ers have to get a ball handling point guard in return. That was kind of our assumption, especially given how locked in they've been on Damian Lillard, was that the 76ers were going to want another ball handling point guard. I think that Maxey has been good enough to where you don't have to get that as the key piece coming back. And again, it might be multiple players coming back. One of them could be a point guard, but I don't think it has to be centered around a point guard, given how good Maxey has been for the 76ers so far this season. So something to keep in mind. Wouldn't shock me if it ends up being a wing or something like that winds up being the key piece that heads to Philadelphia in a Ben Simmons trade. Not saying it's imminent, not saying it's happening the second the calendar flips to December 15th, but it does feel like we are moving closer to a Ben Simmons trade than we ever have before. But let me know down below in the comments section what you think would be a good deal for Ben Simmons. Where do you want to see him land? Don't forget, subscribe right here to the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. We are so appreciative of all the support we've received, especially recently. Things have been really picking up around here. So completely appreciate all of you who have subscribed and then turn on notifications as well. Till next time, everybody, stay safe and see ya.